I just heard Jason just say about being unworthy, and I felt like that this is not my slot to be the closeout guy. But I finally get a chance at it. And we're talking about total forgiveness. This is chapter 6 and 7. And let me tell you, I'm just going to open up by saying, as Jesus hung there on the cross, you can find this in Luke 23 in the 34th verse. And he said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Father, forgive. This is a perfect man asking for forgiveness for each and every one of us. Him going to that cross was not just for the people who was just standing around him at that particular time, but it was for all of us today. He asked for forgiveness for each and every one of us. And this is the thing, as I was studying this is what I found, is that forgiveness comes from the heart. True forgiveness comes from the heart. When you forgive somebody, you're forgiving them with your heart. It's easy. We use words, we go around and we tell people, well, I love you, I forgive you, I like you, all that other stuff. But if you truly stop and think, when you talk to somebody, do you talk to them from the heart? Not the human heart, but the spiritual heart that God has placed in you. Okay. Let me reach back into my past. I had an aunt when I was 10 years old and my brother was 9. We went and stayed at her house along with, it was my uncle's house, but this was his wife. And at the house, what's going on? Okay, I can hear me. At the house, that the room that we stayed in, a little button on the headboard of that house was missing. Now, it was our cousin who had done it, but instead of blaming him, she blamed us. And she took us out into their garage and stripped us down to our tidy whities. And if I can just be blunt about it, beat the crap out of us. From that day on, I hated that woman. Never ever thought in the terms of giving forgiveness. Well, she passed away and I still had hate for her. But I saw something. I learned a lesson from my father. You have to understand, my father was not one who cared about having preachers around his house coming over. My mother would cook and she would invite him over and he would tell her, they're not coming over here and eating up our food that I worked so hard for. He said they can go home and eat their own food. That was the type of man that he was. It's not that he didn't believe what he didn't believe in. He didn't believe in men coming over and taking out of the mouths of a family that had less than they had. That was him. Well, as we got older, my father truly found the Lord. And he started working in the church, and he was working very hard, and he and the preacher there got really close. So close that my father and mother loaned this preacher several $1,000s to get some stuff done. Well, he took it and blew it, and they knew it. But I watched my father forgive this man. Now, I'm talking about total forgiveness. To the fact that he still invited him over as my mother fixed dinner for him. Now, remember what I said earlier about him not believing in having preachers come over and eating up his food, but he still opened his door to this man. That taught me a lesson. So I thought to myself, you know what? That's how I should have been with my aunt. Now, back then, we didn't know anything about, mental illness and all that other stuff, but she did have a problem. Well, I didn't know it. I'm 10 years old. What do I know? But now, well, a few years ago, when I understood that about the mental illness and knew that she wasn't right, I felt bad because I actually should have been in a forgiving mode, but I wasn't. I was in a hate mode. And when you're in a hate mode, the devil loves to see that. He uses that. He keeps that fire in you about hating somebody. He can take it, everything around you all of a sudden becomes negative. But we have the opportunity through that man who died on the cross, we have that opportunity to put that inner fire out, and we can just be free. When you forgive somebody from the heart, do you know you're setting yourself free? It doesn't matter about the individual you forgave, whether they accept it or not. What it does is it frees you. Because watching a man who didn't believe in that turn around, all of a sudden I forgave him. Now here goes the thing. I didn't just not like her, I also held it against her son, my cousin. Well, as as things would happen, they came in town they live out in California now, and they came in town, and I didn't really, I still was holding on to some, I didn't have that from the heart thing, but I really didn't want to see him. But my wife, she's kind of the type that, let me meet the family and want to get, to meet them. So we went out and we all had dinner, my brothers and sister, whatever. We all went out and had dinner with them and got to meet him. And my wife just, gravitated toward his wife, excuse me. And, everything was going great. We even went to his wife's family reunion. And lo and behold, the devil showed his ugly face. What happened? Well, my cousin calls me and says my wife had said some offensive things about his wife, which she did not do, trust me. And now the cycle starts all over again. It's that hate thing. And now, since I've read this book and since I've gotten into this word, it reminded me once again that I have to dig deep down. I can't hold this in. I can't hold this hate against him. I've got to release it and forgive him. It's a hard time for me to forgive somebody after they offended my wife, because if they offended her, they have offended me. Especially after she was the one that set up getting me to go and meet my cousin and his wife and patching up whatever difference we had. So I took to getting down on my hands and my knees, and she didn't see it, but I was praying. Not just for me to be able to forgive, but also for my wife to be able to forgive. We say this thing about, well, I'll forgive them, but I won't forget. What would happen if Christ had forgave us, but he didn't forget we were the ones that put him up on the cross? Oh, I'm not getting any reaction to that. Think about it. If he had not truly forgiven us, and here's the thing, I hear this a lot. I'm not Jesus. No, I know we're not Jesus. But what we are is we're sons of daughters of the Most High. If he has caused us to be heirs and joint heirs with the Father, then guess what we are? And we say we're ambassadors of Christ. How can we be ambassadors of Christ when we don't show it? Okay. You guys are just sitting there, Okay, I'm going to do it, Robert. I'll be here for another 2 hours. I got some stuff up here. I can do this. In First John, you got it up. Thank you. No, yeah, First John and 9. You got the true light that gave light to everyone was coming. That's not right. No, it goes First John 1 and 9 is if we confess our sins, he is faithful and just and will forgive us our sins and purify us from all unrighteousness. He will forgive us. He will forgive us. I don't know about you, but how many in here want to be forgiven by the Father? Don't say we can't do what he asked us to do. Don't say that, because that's another negative that you're putting out there. That's another negative that the adversary can use against you or us. Think about it. When we say we can't do a thing that the Father says that we can do, well, in First John, in the 3 epistles of John, which was written to the Hebrew church of the Christians that believed in Christ at that time, if we say that we can't do it, then that makes God a liar. If you can't do it, you just call God a lie. Put that one in your book. I'm not trying to be hard. I'm just talking about when I read this. Look, everybody ought to have this book in their library. For me, and I looked at it, and I could be wrong, but I'm saying for me, this is one step toward your salvation. I believe that. Ain't right, Jacob? I need all the steps that I can get and being able to forgive, because it falls in line with a lot of other things. I understand that sometimes we might not like it, but after a while, when you start to learn to forgive, I got some news for you. You'll sure feel a whole lot better about things, because you won't be carrying that hate, that whatever that is that stifles you, you won't be carrying that around. You won't be carrying all these bad thoughts about individuals around, because you know what? You have forgiven them and the load is lightened. There's other things in the world we can be thinking about. We can be thinking about going out helping somebody. We could think about going out and joining the Giant Slayer group and doing other things, instead of walking around with this dark cloud hanging over us, this cloud of hate, unforgiveness. Here we go. Let's see. All right, I got this. Not to worry. Okay. Point A on my slides. Let's see if I can get them to pull it up. When a person does wrong, refuse to point it out to the person, him or herself. How quickly are we to point out somebody's fault? Come on. Don't be ashamed. We do that so often. We point out the faults in individuals. How do you think that makes a person feel? Thank you. I know, because I'm guilty of that myself. Looking at a person and saying, well, you know what? You didn't show up at church. I didn't see you coming every day or being there when you should have been there. Or anything that you say to an individual that's negative, people that we should totally forgive instead of browbeating or instead of, just getting on them. All right. I don't know what happened here. Where's Jordan? Jordan, this did one of your things. Yeah. Bear with me, please. Uh-oh. I lost it, period. Okay. This is, my wife and I are not techie. So I'm going to start from Jump Street. Just bear with me, please, because I've got some stuff on here that I need to get out there. Come on. All right. You know what? I'm just going to freelance. I forgive you. All right. Next slide. When a person does wrong, refuse to point it out to others. You may not say anything to that individual, but you might go and say it to someone else. Good one. Facebook, TikTok, all of them other things. You might put it out that way. Or you just might be in a crowd and start talking about an individual. Been there, done that. See, this book is not made to bring you down, but to lift you up, to give you the opportunity to look at yourself, to see, hey, this is me. These things. I'm guilty. Don't be ashamed to admit to the guilt of some of these things. Then when you bring it out, you work on it. Forgiveness is a hard thing to work on. It really is. We hold on to it so tightly, trying to, what I want to say. We hold on it, trying to find out. Uh-oh, I'm hearing voices. Excuse me. Oh, Jordan, I feel your pain. Oh, man. Next slide. Next slide. Matthew 5, 44 says, but I say, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. This is part of the when Christ was given the Sermon on the Mount. He was telling us, you know what? When you love, one of the worst things in the world to do is love on an enemy. What is an enemy? That's somebody who's against you. It's just that simple. If they're not for you, they're against you. That becomes your enemy. And is that true? Are they really your enemy? Or is that, yes. Are they really your enemy? Or is that you? You can make them not your enemy, by doing. Pray for those who persecute you. Pray for them. Because you know what? Every one of us in here needs prayer. That is truly the bottom line. We all need prayer. I came in today to do this forgiveness, and I had it all mapped up, and I was just ready to go. I stayed up last night, typed everything out on this laptop. Oh, I was proud of myself. Just, I can do this. I'm going to use my laptop, and I'm going to go out there, and I'm going to get them a sermon that's just going to stir them up and get them going. And all it did was the laptop failed, but God didn't. See, that's one of the things I've learned in this life is that God never fails. No matter what happens, God never fails. He has always come through. Even when I go through a hate period and I don't like something or I got something against somebody, he still loves on me. I'm going to tell you something. If you go through that period, I get anxious at times. My wife can tell you I do. Today I left out the house. She asked if I would drop the dog off, if I would do that. And of course, okay, I said, all right. I said, I'm going to have to leave a little early so I can get things done. And she says, well, I was talking about dropping it off and then going back picking up the coffee. She said, why don't you pick up the coffee and then drop the dog off? I thought about that and that made more sense. Once again, she was right. So I go and I get the coffee and I get ready to go drop the dog off, and the lady is not there. I was just beside myself. I called Jan and said, did you call her and let her know that I was coming? And she said, I text her. And me, I'm not a firm believer in the texting thing. I'm like, call. So you could hear somebody. Call. And that's just me. And so she says, well, she apologized and said she was sorry and stuff. And I'm still kind of, and she knows how I get. I make those little noises like that and bite my bottom lip and ooh, yeah, I'm there. So I come on over to the church. She says, well, since she's not there, why don't you, just let the windows down and I'll get her when I get there. And I said, I'll tell you what, I'll go drop the coffee off and then I'll come back and she might be there, okay? So I come in, I see a couple of happy faces around here. I kind of come down, I kind of mellow out. There's two ladies sitting over there on the side over there, harassing me when I come in, calling me old. And so it made me laugh a little bit. But I bring the coffee in, I go back out, and I go back over to the lady's house, and I get up and I go up and I knock on the door. Now I'm cool now, I'm all right, but she's not there. And I'm saying to myself, self, get yourself under control. And so I said, well, I'll wait another 5 minutes. And lo and behold, she pulls up. And so I don't have to do anything. I don't even have to really get out of the car. She says, look, I know you got to go. I can take this stuff. I can take the dog and all of her little belongings. And I go. I said, good. Thank you. I'm happy. I'm all right. So I'm publicly saying, I'm asking, I'm sorry, hon, that I got upset. Well, don't cover up. I said it. I meant it. It's coming from the heart. Because, that's all right. But what I'm saying is, every day in our life, we are tested. Every single day. We are tested. Every single day, the adversary is after us one way or another. This forgiveness thing, let me tell you, that's right. It is. It's rough. But it's no more than a test from God. He put us on us, and doesn't he say, I will not put any more on you than you can bear? That depends on what text you're reading. And that works. I'm serious. That works. But he won't. He will not put any more on you than you can handle, bear, whatever word you want to use. That's the Father that we serve. Here's the thing that I like, and I'm not going to mess this up. I don't have this on a slide. And let's see, 1 Corinthians. Yeah. 1 Corinthians 13:13. This is the love portion of the book, but I'm going to use 13. It says, and now abideth faith, hope. In the King James it says charity, which means love. These three, but the greatest of these is love. Love. If you read the three books, the three epistles of John, first, second, and third, what you will find out is those are books of love, letting us know that God is love. If he loves us, he will forgive us. I'm talking about he loves us, and he throws away anything that you may have done. Once we go to him and we ask for forgiveness, he throws it away. He no longer holds it, counts it against you. We count every little mistake that you made against an individual. We hold it against them. How much time do we waste not forgiving? How much? I like what this book has said. I like when it touched my heart. It touched me in a way that I don't want to be mad at anybody. I don't want to be upset because I know that every one of us sitting in here, the word tells us in Romans that for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. For all, not just one, not just two, but for all have sinned and come short of the glory of God. Not yesterday, but today. Guess what? When you wake up tomorrow, you're going to do something else. I once thought I'd love to have a perfect day where I did not sin, that I didn't do anything wrong. So I said, you know what? All I have to do is stay in the house. But I got news for you. Even staying in the house, you mess up. How about that? Even when you stay in your own house, you mess up. Wow. All right. Okay. Jason, he asked if he could bring that cross in. Boy, I am so glad. If you look on that cross, you'll see where people have come up and signed their name on it. And when he was telling the truth, because I was there at the first time I went over there, it was out at Beach Grove, and people were leaving cigarettes and alcohol bottles and stuff at the foot of the cross. They was giving it up. I got news for you. If you have something that you want to give up, if you want to forgive somebody, lay it there. I don't know. Where is Jason? Huh? Yeah, I was wondering if he had a marker or something where people can. No, you don't have to. If you got it, because Dave might be looking for, and if you got a marker, you can sign the cross. And whatever it is, you can leave it at the cross. Will the worship team come on up, please? Remember that A and B that I told you about if somebody does wrong, don't hold it against them. If somebody does wrong, don't share it with somebody else.